Hello everybody, welcome back to Language, Litigation, and Integration. I am your host, Brad. My constitutional rights are violated. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the United States Constitution gives you a right to your writings and discoveries. Additionally, the Fifth Amendment of the United States Constitution gives you a right to just compensation for private property used for public use. You can see the bulk of my core of my research is the From Rhythm to Algorithm series, where we literally derive everything, like actually. And so that's the core of my research, but in reality, at this point, and for the better part of a decade, my research affects literally every place where logic is present. I've demonstrated the logical structure that can exist. And so my rights are violated. I'm currently living at my parents' house. The restriction of my scientific credentials has caused me grave bodily harm. It's destroyed my property. It's destroyed, I tried to run a bar and a restaurant. I currently have CBD enriched alcohol. The actual value of my proofing, in addition to literally 10 years of income, I would say. That's being an adult, and I've been literally brutalized and tortured since I've been a child, continuously. Like, there's been no breaks, no intervening, no nothing. And so the primary function of this lecture series is to bring about awareness to the ongoing violation of my rights. It is profound, it is extensive, and it's, like I said, it's been continuous since I've been a child. But that has been going on for a very long time, so I just briefly say that, and then we move on to current events. So we have a lot of fun things in the news today. A lot of pedophiles, that seems to be a theme. Right here in Columbus, Ohio, again, last episode we covered Colleen Marshall, Carrie Charles, Jennifer Bullock, NBC4UI.com or something. Call this number if you have fraud. Oh, stalking. We don't care about your constitutional rights. I'll pay you $100,000 to run a valid story. Nope. Okie dokie. Wow, that's fun. So again, I keep pointing those out because those are, again, people just doing their jobs by literally just not doing their jobs. So that's fun and exciting stuff, but we covered, the wonderful assault and battery committed at Ohio State, which is always hilarious. So we want to stay with the Ohio State University and continue to highlight their moral behavior, their integrity, their character, and what better way to do it than with our founders and with our funders, I guess, more so than a founder. But our great something another, Mr. Les Wexner. So this is a fun one because he got deposed today by Congress for our chief pedophile officer, Jeffrey Epstein, who definitely didn't kill himself. But, of course, he died by suicide. How convenient. Whoops. All of the world's major elites are caught being pedophiles. Hup, accidentally killed myself. How convenient. The jail cell camera just turned off. Oopsie-daisies. Oh, what are you going to do? And so Les Wexner, a billionaire and the founder of L Brands, well known for something brands such as Victoria's Secret, and that is right here in Columbus, Ohio. If you look back on those other sections of this language, litigation, and integration series, I worked at a country club, and that country club was owned by, drumroll, Leslie Wexner. And so remember, I wasn't just doing that randomly. I was getting literally to the point where I was handing plates of food to literal federal judges. Would you like an iced tea? Would you like a coffee? How about some constitutional rights? There was one guy that I definitely knew, he knew who I was kind of some sort of like military admiral or something. And again, I can feel your thoughts. And so I put myself in a position, I wasn't just messing around, as close as you can be to say, hey, here, Brad, here's some money. You can live your life. Because to those of you watching, I've given up on any sort of publication, any sort of genuine acknowledgement of my research, and I've literally just been begging for enough money to eat, to sleep, and to work, which I've never had, and I have no expectation that I ever will have. So this isn't for luxury or lavish living, this is to literally work. And the answer is absolutely not. And so Leslie Wexner gets deposed, so he gave over $1 billion to Jeffrey Epstein. And I don't know who quoted it, I think it was a local news person, but he was the single most prominent financier for Epstein. And so it's hilarious, you see, kind of some sort of recourse in Europe, some places, global pedophilia ring, but nothing hits quite like home with Mr. Leslie Wexner at the Ohio State University. And so that's fun to work at his country club where just, again, federal judges, business people galore, military type folks, And it's just, anybody want to give Brad some money? Of course not. And so over $1 billion to Epstein. He said he got duped by one of the greatest con mans in history. Probably not. Do I immediately think anybody in the business world that's financially interacted with this character? Again, to me, this whole situation is just what the fuck is going on. And so I don't really think it's confusing. I just think there's a bunch of pedophiles, and now it's just like, oh, we're all shit, oh, fuck. And now we're just trying to cover our asses. We knocked off Jeffrey, and now it's just like, oh, let's just act like these files aren't real or something. And then the U.S. Congress, you can did not disclose them, even though it's a law. But again, as we've clearly demonstrated, the law is as real as Santa Claus. But all of those people know about me. That's what I can't not emphasize enough. It's all of these people who are fighting for the rights of the victimized can all just turn around and be like, oh, yep, fuck Brad. And so it's just this level of hypocrisy where you never get genuine moral behavior. You just get people saying, does this benefit my life? Do I feel responsibility for this? And if the answer to either of those questions is no, then the answer is there's no chance it would do anything at any point in time. And so it's good to know that right here in The Ohio State University is run by pedophiles. And then again, they had that band director at Ohio State. He was a pedophile. And then Epstein, pedophile. Wexner, funding pedophiles. But what I was going to say is that, again, I don't know this situation whatsoever, but just, again, business person dealing with business person doesn't mean they were necessarily friends. In this case, it does seem like they were friends. So, again, from Columbus, Ohio, Leslie Wexner does not really have a good reputation around here unless you have, again, you're directly on his payroll. And so he's always super uptight. Anything if you do with anything in New Albany, NDAs, he's just super up his ass about don't do this or don't do that. It's about my great empire. Leslie, your great empire is how you treated me, along with a lot of other people, which is nothing. Columbus, Ohio is going to be remembered for nothing. Ohio State University is going to be remembered for nothing besides arrogance, delusion, incompetence, fraud, racketeering, conspiracy, pedophilia, more incompetence, fraud, and you just keep listing the major crimes, all of the felonies once again. Because I went to school and said, here's all of science, and you guys were like, nope. Well, now it's on the internet. Now what, guys? But yeah, we're just going to act like it's not there and continue because nobody has any values at all. But that was funny to see. Again, the owner of the actual country club that I worked at, the country club where I'm handing plates of food to federal judges, where I'm handing plates of food to Brad Mullen, who's a major neurosurgeon, who's Kim Mullen's husband, who was Chris Kirk's mom, who used to be my friend, or something, and they slandered my name and defamed my character. So again, all of these people who have caused me substantial financial damages, caused me grave bodily harm, I'm just still stuck in this world where I can't get out of it. And all I've ever needed was a little bit of money. But Leslie Wexner, he can invest $1 billion into pedophilia and $0 into actual science, actual medicine, actually helping people, actual character, actually building good business. But that was genuinely funny to see. And so that was going on here in Columbus, Ohio. I got a comment on my YouTube channel that I thought was, again, interesting to respond to for a variety of reasons. So I get a comment on the gravity is viscosity, because again, what you are looking at is a first principle derivation of everything. Literally, it's done. We're up into the point where that is a completely true statement. We're just showing the internal consistency of the language itself. And so I get a comment on there. One guy is out there. He's like, hey, bro, I'm a big fan. Do you have any books that I can read that, back your theories? Again, I have started from, there's no point for me to try to convince anybody of anything. This is the most poignant scientific results listed in order as they've happened from first principle, which really means from my personal experience, Brad existing in the world. And so first of all, our lovely commenter has to tear me down. Right? Yeah, there's somebody else out there that's written about my subject that I discovered. And again, the disparity between what I've done and the collective scholarship of everybody else is hilariously non-existent, me versus them. Meaning everybody else that's ever existed versus Brad, I've derived all of science multiple times. And that's what people don't really seem to get, is this is my fourth time doing this. And so, but he asked this question again, I just commented, it's you get to a point where you can literally put all of science on the internet and people won't open their fucking mouths or won't sit down and just listen. And there's nothing else you can do. There's nothing else to say. But I am going to live in a house where people do not respect my science. I'm going to watch my parents be killed, meaning neglected and denied genuine scientific methodologies, procedures, again, because you've restricted my credentials. That is going to happen. I've already faced grave bodily harm. And then the arrogance and delusion of people commenting like, hey dude, where else can I read about this? It's literally right here on my channel. But people, that's the thing, is people cannot accept Brad. This guy right here is the person that discovered fucking science. We have to diffuse responsibility and not give credit where credit's due. It's truly the most disgusting behavior that could exist. But guess what out there? What happens out there? Is all of the disgusting, worthless people called adults don't raise their kids. I know plenty of them. Ryan Maloney, Brennan Schlabig, Tim Doon, Chris Couric, Zach Lambert, Jimmy Judson, Josiah Charlemagne. I can just go on and on about people that were never raised by their parents, but they have to have jobs and have to pay their bills, so they just go clamor all over each other to get nowhere. Wow. David Paletta, John Cox. Just inspiring people. One day maybe I will, again, I'm a loser, dude. I live at my fucking parents' house. I could never contribute to the world. Maybe one day I'll be like them. But it's just hilarious because it's literally at the point where it's, hey dude, where can I read more about this? And it's literally like a complete derivation just sitting in front of you. You just click another video and just listen. Or you can be extremely disrespectful, have no idea how to behave. Because again, I do not care who the fuck learns anything that I present. It's just my right to collect money for what I have solved. That is it. I will never get away from your dirty, disgusting fucking kids, man. It's honestly hilarious. But we have that shooting in Rhode Island, and that was at Pawtucket Ice Rink. 3 are dead, including the shooter who killed himself or herself. 3 were hospitalized. It was a high school hockey game after a family dispute at Dennis M. Lynch Arena. The suspect is the father of a high schooler, and he killed his ex-wife, the mother of his child, and the sibling. And so if you look up a picture, again, if I had some editing, I would put up a picture, but lovely fellow, looking like, definitely super mentally stable over on that end. Yeah, just knock off the ex-wife and the kid, because, who knows, just having an emotional bout where you can't really understand what the fuck's going on, and yeah. That's fun and exciting. Again, obviously just making dry humor out of, again, I don't have constitutional rights. I have grave bodily harm myself. Nobody respects my scientific credentials, and it's going to kill my family, and I'll never have a family myself. Oh, bummer, like I can't care about the rest of the world. I just can't. Yeah, fun stuff. Anderson Cooper to leave CBS News 60 Minutes program after 20 years of contribution. Again, there was no news anchor on this planet that has any sort of integrity, character, morals, anything. There is not anybody that will open their mouth and tell the truth about fundamental science that affects every single person on this planet. How many lives have been lost? How many children have been killed by not disseminating scientific information is innumerable. You people are the problem. Every single person that has a voice that is not using it is dirt, is filth, is trash, is complicit in directly causing murder. That is a fact. And history will not look kindly on you. And I don't give a shit because I'm over here. I have lost everything to retarded people. To people that literally do not care about anything, that cannot care about anything, that come from terrible families. All they know how to do is play games and play sports. Go, 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 be the winner of the sports master. I'm the sports master of all the games. I'm the winnerest game winner sports master of the game winning sports because I love sports and games and more sports and games. And I am not joking when I'm telling you personally, on a personal level, I have never been able to eat food. I have never had a physical location to feel safe, to eat, to sleep, and to work. Never in my entire life. But I just wanted to thank Anderson Cooper for his lifelong diligence and his lifelong commitment to telling the truth, to getting the news out there when America needed it, Anderson. You did it, brother. You stood up in the face of tyranny and oppression and told the truth. Because America, bald eagle, freedom, another bald eagle, yeehaw, America. All members are cleared by authorities in Nancy Guthrie's abduction. Savannah Guthrie pleads again on social media. Again, it must be nice to be like, hey, my family needs help. And then because you're a news anchor, everyone's like, oh yeah, let's help out this chick. Because again, my family doesn't get any help. We don't get anything. I actually get disowned by my family when I try to help my family because, well, fuck Brad, you know? That makes sense. That's so reasonable. But that's what a scapegoat is. You just talk reason around illogical people and then just gang up on you. They have to. It's the only way they know how to make sense of the world around them. Tim Doon should not have a medical license. Richard Reese should not be a lawyer. James Ryan should not be a lawyer. Robert Hemphill should not be a lawyer. Is there any laws? Nope. I'm just going to keep documenting as many times as I can the people that have committed crimes against me, the people that have ruined my life, and that are genuinely incompetent. They pose an ongoing threat to public safety because they have occupations that require science. And on a personal level, they've instinctually denied science to the point where it's like fucking hilarious and they're in no way competent to carry out their professional obligations. Get them out of science. Get them out of anything. My goodness. I would say this shit to their face, but they're not men, they're not women, they're not adults. They're cowards, they're losers, and they're fucking trash. But this was another funny one. But honestly, on the Guthrie thing at this point, I mean, I'm assuming she's dead. An 84-year-old, someone abducts her, all of the family members get cleared, and then like there's no communication from the abductor, right? If you wanted ransom, you're gonna want to keep them in as good as health as possible and get the ransom thing done. But that's just my personal opinion. But again, must be nice to have the world care about your family to any capacity at all. Something I would never know. And in the most ghoulish, cruel, and unusual way possible. And so that's my guess there is the Nancy Guthrie has passed away. Obviously, I have no personal insight, but with no communication from someone demanding ransom initially, it just kind of feels like I want to say almost like a crime of opportunity. They maybe like see her coming back from dinner and they scoop her up and just some dumb fucking idea like let's steal this person's daughter's on the news. Let's, somehow that equates to let's steal her. And then they have no idea what they're doing and then just kind of fucking kill her, unfortunately. That's my take on it. No special insight, but when you take an elderly person, demand ransom, and then just kind of go silent, it's like, unfortunately, what else is there? But this was a weirder flex. This was really inspiring. So back to pedophiles. Like I said, on today's episode, a lot of pedophilia. And so I was watching CNBC on my little terminal, again, trying to trade stocks, trying to drum up some money when I don't have constitutional rights, knowing damn well that I'm going to get audited by the IRS, which really means I'm going to get extorted again because I, again, don't have constitutional rights. And again, if I sold my parents a piece of my portfolio under duress. They made me sell my asset, which cost me $4 million. That's a fact. So if I would have been able to clear that money, it still would have been completely illegal. I still have no tax obligation, but I still would have been able to pay the money, have enough principal to live a life. And now where I still don't have enough principal to live a life, I can't pay any taxes because, well, first and foremost, I have no tax obligation when you don't have constitutional rights, when you've destroyed my property, destroyed my income potential, so on and so forth. I don't have tax obligation. But I'm just trying to live a life and there's just no potential for me. There's nothing. I have no one in this world that remotely cares about how much I've suffered, how much I'm the victim of crime. And it's going on. Like, it's not like I'm not talking about the past. But anyway, again, that's the purpose of this lecture series, is to document my ongoing damages. It's just, it's a level of gaslighting, torture, and identity restriction that you guys you can't process it. It's fucking disgusting what you're doing to me. But no one cares. And so, again, trying to stay on track, it really is difficult. But, so back to the pedophiles, and that's really gung-ho on that today. And so I'm watching on CNBC, again, trying to drum up money. That's where I was at, on my little terminal. And where Congress is interviewing this guy, Howard Lutnick. And he was just like, it was kind of the weirdest flex I've ever heard. He's effectively saying, I was at Epstein's Island, but I was there with my family. I was there with my family. I was there with my family. Weirdest flex in the world to brag about bring your kids to work day, and then you go to Epstein's Island. Crazy business. That's all I could think of when this dude was testifying. It's like, I was at Epstein Island with my kids. I was such a good father. I took my kid to Epstein Island. Obviously, he's presenting it in a way where we're saying, I wasn't doing anything nefarious. My kids were there with me. It's like, I went there, I hung out with Jeffrey's kids, and Jeffrey hung out with my kids. It was all good, a good play date. Honestly, that made me laugh quite a bit. Barack Obama says aliens are real on Brian Tyler Cohen's YouTube channel, then clarifies on X. Again, this is another part where it's like all of science is on the internet. The experimental methodology, which is effectively free to anyone to verify themselves, has been on the internet for years. Begin to interact with the individuals. Not to say, is this blurry blob a UFO? And so it's just historically seeing, again, Obama doesn't know shit. I mean, this is one of those things where I personally have been briefed, and again, I am the one disseminating information. I still have to make a whole nother video on that because there's clearly things that you guys are missing. But it's so, because the thing that is amazing to me, aliens are real. I mean, to me, it's not even a question. Life is serendipitous. All of this intention where it's like, Disclosure Day from Spielberg's coming out, and all of this, like, again, people think there's like some sort of intention to it. Life just happens, and it's just around you, and it's always been around you, and it's still going to be around you, and it's effectively just some sort of like economic development with some people going to have some sort of ownership or responsibility, some sort of rights within Earth or within, the solar system more generally. But it's nothing like all of this intention where it's like you meet another species and then there's this big disclosure and then the whole world changes and now we're gonna have this big alien human in exchange. It's just like, this is not the best analogy I can have just off the top of my head is like, you have a millionaire CEO who runs a company. He didn't found the company, and then you have a billionaire founder. It's like the millionaire is dealing with real money. They're really doing real stuff. But the billionaire is a lot more laid back. He doesn't really care. I mean, it's a lot more, like there's a lot more like intention and drive and hustle with a millionaire as opposed to a billionaire. And so when I see that you guys is like intention with interaction, there really isn't like a goal. And so like this hide and seek trying to like locate with awareness is it's doable, but it's just like, why? The point being is my initial intake is Barack Obama. Again, they're kind of, if you watch the clip, some people are saying, he just immediately admits it and then he kind of like walks it back. Other people are saying, he just meant the universe is so vast, because that's what he clarifies. I mean, at this point, it's laughable. I mean, it's fucking laughable. There's the entire derivation of all of science with the experimental procedure to interact with life forms that are not local right now. Just go take any sort of liquid and vibrate it, and then resolve when you look at a pool and you look at the water and there's all of these like light, like refracting, just resolve those patterns at different frequencies, and you can interact with life form yourself right now today. I can show you the Newsweek article that came out in 2017, because this was one of the most immediate things. Like all of this proofing actually came after. I mean, I've known about that stuff for, my whole life. Like I've had interactions in childhood. And so it's just, you kind of like, my whole life is just like, when are people going to stop lying about fucking absolutely everything? And now that I am the first person to put all of science on the internet, and I've done it multiple times, it's like, what are you guys doing? Anyway, the whole Barack Obama thing is irrelevant, but it's just so much more involved in like, again, seeing is aliens real is just like, it's not even a meaningful question. It's like, what story is being told and who is making the difference? But I am the one disseminating information on that. I am the ambassador for, again, certainly for humanity, certainly for Earthlings, but really for the solar system. And so I'll do another video on that. Again, it's just not that relevant. And the sentience that needs to know about that stuff does. But again, it's not like there's like levels. That's the biggest thing is super secret science team, your intention with what you think you're accomplishing or doing. Life is just serendipitous. And it's always been that way. What you guys are experiencing is nothing new at all, period. But that little exchange, it's just the thing that is astounding for me is how many people know that I am out here. I am out here in the world. Here's the Constitution. Here's all of science. I can literally demonstrate that I can prove your thoughts to you faster than you can think them, truly, to anybody. I mean, it's just like the levels of differential here is humongous. And it's immediately provable. That is what has been happening my whole life. and so it's just like seeing all of these people again playing this game. Right? I've never heard of Brian Tyler Cohen. But again, everyone in the YouTube world, well, I can show you a clip from Sean Carroll from like 6 years ago saying, everybody knows, we can't keep up. Eric Weinstein, give yourself a break. Again, super secret science team literally interacting with me in person throughout the apartments for years. It's just like, what are we doing? And all I'm asking for, again, I've given up on like even trying to like push back on that shit. Just give me some money. I will never live a day of my life. And I'm just sitting here documenting this. I have no words cannot come out of my mouth to make people stop hurting me. It's not possible to occur. Last couple, I think this is the last one for today. Shia LaBeouf arrested in New Orleans after an altercation with a fight at Mardi Gras. Shia LaBeouf is currently 39 years old. Thoroughly like him as an actor. Definitely an eagle eye, Disturbia. Obviously Transformer with Megan Good, or not Megan Good, that's my favorite actress, but Megan Fox. But definitely seen him having being a hothead, being getting in trouble with the law, but just being a very, I forget, he did some interview. There's another YouTuber out there that did kind of good interviews. Haven't seen him in a while, but it was, I can't even think of it. But he did some interview that, you know, I thought portrayed his personality pretty well. And he seems like a pretty intense dude, but pretty, you know, just got famous pretty young and rode that wave pretty substantially. And so definitely have heard of him, you know, the on-screen Shia LaBeouf versus the in-person, it's pretty substantially, I don't say different, but just, you know, you don't see him through the movies. And so that is what I have for you today. Again, my rights continue to be violated. It's so obvious, it's so clear, everyone knows there's nothing for me to do, no one for me to call, I can't go anywhere, do anything. Please, somebody stop hurting me. Just give me a little bit of money, give me a time frame, give me some indication so I can fucking do something besides make these videos. I want to go enjoy nature. I have grave injury to my back. I can't go, I would do primitive camping. With the income I have now, I would do primitive camping, but I can't do anything, man. I'm going to get audited illegally. I'm going to get extorted illegally. I live in a city run by pedophiles. I live in a country run by pedophiles. And what you're seeing with this denial, when you have Pam Bondi sitting in a congressional hearing and the victim's literally standing behind her saying, and she won't turn around. She won't look at him, right? People that commit these crimes, they just kind of somewhat double down and don't acknowledge it. As a victim, I am experiencing that to a level you people can't. I experienced all of this. This never happened. That never happened. That never happened. Now we're at a point where we're doing things and we're saying that never happened and that never happened to things that I've documented in rigorous detail as they've happened over 6-7 years. I have been tortured my entire life. There is nothing that can change. There is nobody that cares, and there is nothing I can do. This failure of law and morals throughout human behavior has destroyed every bit of my existence and will continue to do so. All I'm asking for is for a little bit of money so I can leave this fucking hell that is Columbus, Ohio. So I can get out of a house in which I have been abused my entire life. The whole thing. Not 1 minute of one day off. And the answer is no, I just don't get it. But regardless, thank you for watching. See you on the next one.